These are the 10 fragrances that garnered me personally the most compliments in 2018. Stay tuned. Hola, compadres and senoritas alike. My name is Joshua, and this is your channel, ScentSense. To everyone who continues to keep coming back for more, you are gluttons for punishment, and I thank you for it. And to all you new people who are checking out the channel, maybe for the very first time, why don't you stick around for a little while? Let us know how you like it. More often than not, people will make these lists and people will watch these lists with the intentions of getting compliments. Far be it from me to try to tell you exactly which fragrances you should buy and try to guarantee with you that these fragrances are definitely gonna get you compliments. This list is gonna have some of the ones that you would expect to have, and it's gonna have ones that you may not expect it to have. But at the end of the day, these are fragrances that when I wore them, they got me the most compliments. Maybe it was the time of the season, maybe it was where I was at or who I was around, but these fragrances worked for me when it came to compliments. Now, I don't always wear fragrances for compliments. I usually just wear fragrances because I enjoy them. But when a compliment comes across, it definitely feels good. No, I'm not gonna throw around words like banger, panty dropper, definitely gonna get you laid, this is gonna get you wonderful ladies' reactions. None of that, guys. These are just fragrances that I wore that just so happen to also get me compliments. Starting off the list at number 10 is one of my favorite fragrances, and it's my favorite water droplet fragrance. No, it's not Bulgari Aqua Amara. It's the Big Daddy, the originator, the first one, Bulgari's Aqua. Bulgari's Aqua is a fresh, strong, grounded male fragrance. You're gonna get sea soapy, salty vibes with this. No, it's not nearly as sea salty as Aquamarine. It's more of a denser, more sophisticated version of that. This would be the older brother to Aquamarine. I think that this is one of the most overlooked fragrances in fragrance community. I think that for the price that this can be had at on websites such as FragranceNet, I think if you don't have it in your collection, you definitely should. I think it's better than the majority of the freshie out there. All the freshies that everyone clamors to, like the Dior Sauvages and the Dylan Blues. I like those. I'm not saying they're terrible. I don't really care for Sauvage, but that's another story. When it comes to the majority of those, I think that this one will work in a lot more occasions, and this will make you feel like more of a man and less like a little boy. So coming in at number 10 is Bulgari's Aqua. Coming in at number 9 is a fragrance from an interpretation house called Alexandria Fragrances. I'm sure if you've watched this channel, you're no stranger to them, but if you haven't, and this is the first time you've watched this channel, Alexandria Fragrances is a house that makes interpretations of niche, indie, and designer colognes. Fragrances, most people call them cologne where I'm from, don't give me a hard time. The fragrance we're talking about that came in at number 9 is Bitter Soft. Bitter Soft is one of the very few fragrances within the past calendar year that I bought a second bottle of. Yes, the first one was only a 30 milliliter bottle, and this one is a 60 milliliter bottle, but it's one of the very few fragrances that I continue to wear a lot, and I wear it heavy. Bitter Soft is Alexandria Fragrances' take on Tuscan Leather from Tom Ford. This one is a less dry, sweeter, more creamier, more decadent version of Tuscan Leather. If you were to ask me if this is a dead ringer for Tuscan Leather, I would tell you no way. But if you were to ask me if I like this one better than Tuscan Leather, the answer to that is actually yes. Oh no, ScentSense just said that he likes a fragrance better than a designer or niche fragrance. What am I gonna do? Well, you're either gonna take me at my word and go ahead and check this one out, or you're gonna think I'm crazy and just rock Tuscan Leather. Either way, it's okay with me, but for me personally, the one that got me lots and lots of compliments because of how smooth and sweet and alluring it is Bitter Soft by Alexandria Fragrances. Coming in at number 8 is a fragrance that, in my opinion, is the perfect transition from designer to niche. It is a fragrance that will not have a problem with being appreciated. Everyone will think it's great. It's people-pleasing. It's not challenging. It's not avant-garde. Enough rambling. The fragrance we're talking about is Joshthibs Elysium. As you can see, guys, there's not a whole lot left in there. I burned through this bad boy pretty darn quickly. Yeah, some of it I actually sold off, about 20 or 30 milliliters of it. But at the end of the day, I probably burned through about half of what I had left, because this one right here just smells so fantastic. This one smells a lot like I feel like sweet tarts would smell if they were niche. This one is alluring, it's inviting, it's got 137,000 notes in it, but it's perfectly blended. Yes, I'm not a genius or a perfumier, but what I can smell is I don't sit here and I can't break down each individual note, and there are a ton of them in there. So you'd think that I'd be able to pick out 1, 2, or 3 of them, but man, it just blends together perfectly in the most simple and beautiful way. So if you're trying to get into niche fragrances, but yet you don't want to have to jump into something that maybe feels like it's a little bit too avant-garde or crazy, and you're not afraid to spend a little extra money for quality, go ahead and check out Joshthibs Elysium. Next up is a fragrance that's often compared to a Ventus from Creed. I don't think it smells anything like a Ventus. I think it's actually better than a Ventus, and I made a video about that. You can go ahead and check it out, and I may leave a link below. The fragrance we're talking about is Scent of Peace by Bond No. 9. It's ironic that Mardi Gras season is here and alive and well in South Louisiana, because the last time I remember getting a really big compliment for this was right around Mardi Gras time last year. I walked by a few people and they said, "Man, you smell fantastic. What is that?" So I said Bond No. 9 Scent of Peace. All they heard was Bond No. 9, because here in South Louisiana, when people hear Bond No. 9, they know that it's a fancy schmancy brand, but they don't know that there's like 137 different Bonds. But this one right here takes the cake. Much like the fragrance before it, this is a niche fragrance that has a fresh, clean, and designer feel. It is easy, it is approachable, and I think it's better than Creed's Ventus. So if you want to save your pocketbook, if you want to save some money and you want to save some time, you could probably buy 2 or 3 bottles of this for the price you would buy a Ventus. And I promise you, the people who smell you will think you smell just as good if you wore a Ventus, if not better. Coming in at number 7 is Bond No. 9's Scent of Peace. Coming in at number 6 is a fragrance that for some reason reminds me of an SNL skit that some of us may know with Jimmy Fallon and Will Ferrell, where they just talk about leather and how much they love leather, and they're always like, "I love leather." The scent that we're describing, the scent that we'll be speaking about, is none other than Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. In the words of Derek Ford from ScentSense, it's marvelous, marvelous. This scent is readily available in a lot of places where you would get designer scents. Most Tom Ford's private lines won't be available in those places. This is probably more of the lowbrow Tom Ford fragrances, but I think this one smells like it belongs in the private blend line. You're gonna get more of a car seat-like leather smell, a leather jacket-like leather smell. You're not gonna get that sweet, seductive leather smell from Tuscan Leather. This is more straightforward, manly man leather. I have been told that I smell really, really great. I feel that it just works. I feel like it personally, I think it smells like the inside of a brand new BMW. But maybe that's why it smells so sophisticated and fancy. Coming in at number 6 is Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. Coming in at number 5 is what I like to call the mimosa of the fragrance world. That is You or Someone Like You. This fragrance comes from the house of Etat Libre d'Orange, or Eldo for short, as some may call it. This right here, fantastic. This is something I'll definitely be wearing in the upcoming months, and definitely closer and closer to summer, especially here in South Louisiana where it super heats up. This right here is one of the only fresh fragrances that I've ever smelled that projects this beastly. You're gonna get a muddled mint mimosa, just fantastic fresh fragrance that smells like you're at a cabana in the middle of the beach and someone's making you this great smelling drink. That's what you're gonna get with this. It works so great off of sun-drenched skin. It's going to project like a monster, which is so weird and out of the ordinary for fresh fragrances, especially those worn during summer, because they tend to project, and then disappear. This one has such great longevity. It's probably the strongest fresh fragrance that I own. Coming in at number 5 is You or Someone Like You by Etat Libre d'Orange. At number 4 is another niche fragrance from the house of Creed. No, it's not a Ventus. No, it's not Green Irish Tweed, and it's definitely not the muscle rub of the fragrance world, Viking. It is original Sont All. As I've started to really appreciate fragrances and continue to collect and dive more and more into niche, I definitely realize the stark differences and the slight similarities between this and Mont Blanc's individual. This is creamier, this is more decadent, this is more strong, this is just better. Now, a lot of people are gonna tell you that this is not worth the price difference between this and Mont Blanc individual. Let me tell you why they're wrong. They're wrong because this is better blended. This is more sophisticated. This will last longer, and this just smells smoother and creamier and way less synthetic. This is Jif peanut butter, and Mont Blanc individual is great value peanut butter. You can still make a sandwich, and to the average person who tastes it, they won't notice a huge difference, but people who really start to appreciate and get into it will definitely tell you that choosy moms choose Jif, and choosy moms are gonna choose Sont All. If you're just starting off in the fragrance world and you're just starting to collect, or you have no aspirations of owning any expensive or more pricey fragrances, then Mont Blanc individual is fantastic and it's perfect for you. But if you're at a point where you feel like you want the finer things and nicer versions of things, you should definitely check out Sont All. And number 4 again, guys, Creed's Original Sont All. Number 3 is the more sophisticated brother, the older brother, although the newer fragrance, that is Coach Platinum. Coach Platinum is exactly what the first Coach should have been. It is a more well-rounded fragrance. It is easier to wear in more situations, and it lasts longer, and it has more depth. It's just overall a better version of the first one. One cool thing about these bottles is the cap, actually you twist it to lock it from being able to spray, and it won't spray. You gotta kind of pop it back in place and then it sprays. What the frick? Oh, here you go. Doesn't seem too cool when it doesn't work when you're trying to be cool on camera, right? Not gonna lie to you, this has got a lot of the vibes of a lot of the Ambroxan Craze fragrances, such as Dylan Blue, Sauvage, and the alike. But this one has a powdery nuance and has a stronger base, and it seems a lot more sophisticated. If you're looking for something that's fresh, but is also more versatile, can be worn in more occasions, and seems a little more sophisticated, check out Coach Platinum. I'm getting closer and closer to number 1, and no, I'm not excited about number 1, but at the end of the day, it was my most complimented fragrance. This one I was actually kind of excited about. It's often hated on by some people in the fragrance community because its entire line is hated on, but I think it's the best of all worlds that's considered when it comes to this fragrance line, and that is 1 Million's Lucky. I feel that 1 Million Lucky is somewhere smack dab between 1 Million Cologne and 1 Million Privé. It's got that sweet spot where it's fresh and it's inviting, but it still has some balls. This can be worn dressed up, dressed down, spring, summer, winter, fall. I think just the amount you spray, the application might change, but as far as versatility and as far as appealing, this one really works. So if you're looking for something that smells kind of like Privé, but is more summery and fresher, or if you're looking for something that's 1 Million Cologne, but not so fresh, right in the middle, 1 Million Lucky. Last but not least, on the compliment field, but definitely not my favorite, Aqua de Jeu Profumo Special Blend. I call this the Saints version. It's got the gold and black. It's got the magnetic cap, which I think is kind of cool. The reason why I'm not excited about this being number 1 is because here in South Louisiana, for some reason, people have an affinity for Aqua de Jeu. People will not let go. People in the South are very set in their ways, so it worked in 1996. They think it continue to work now, so people just love the way that this smells. One cool part about it is when people smell me, they think I smell fantastic, but they don't know what it is. They'll say, man, what is that? That smells great. And then I will start to say Aqua de Jeu, and before I can even get to de Jeu, they'll say, oh, yeah. That drives me insane. But after discussing it with them, I think the reason why they say they just don't know what it is at first is because there's a few differences between this and the original. This isn't as fresh. This has a little more woods, a little more musk. It's got a little more of a strength to it, and I think that it's a little more sophisticated. I find that it's something more of a dressier kind of fragrance, if you will. It's probably one of the most versatile fragrances on the market, and it's one of the most appealing and easy accessible fragrances. I just hate how much people love Aqua de Jeu where I'm from. I just want to wear it and not smell like everyone else. Finishing off the list at number 1 is Aqua de Jeu Profumo Special Blend. Alright guys, that about does it for me. I thank you so much for sticking through this lengthy video, and I apologize if I didn't mention all of your favorite fragrances or ones that were complimented for you, because you know what? that would be your video. Go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section below which of these fragrances worked for you. Go ahead and smash that notification bell. That way, when my videos come out, you will be the first to know. And as always, as we close every single video, I'll smell you later. Peace!